Now that we've baked and cooled all 3 layers of our cake, it's time to start putting it together. The first thing we want to do is start to make sure that we have nice level surfaces on our cake. The nice thing about this cake is the top of it tends to crack a little bit, which makes it pretty easy to take off that top layer. Just make sure you have a nice flat layer. If you have a cake slicer, you can use that as well. I just kind of use my blade and kind of make sure I've got a nice even top. Now when I cooled this, I put it down on the flat side as well, so it helped compress it down into a nice even layer. So I'm just going to kind of brush this around, and then I'll use that as my top layer as well. So I've got nice smooth layers on each part. So I've got my buttercream that I've refrigerated as well. I'm going to start by taking about half of the buttercream and spreading it on this first layer here. Now this is not the layer that I'm going to use for presenting the cake on. This is just for preparing it, so don't worry about making sure you have it on your platter already, because we're going to actually freeze this cake before we finish putting it together. So take about half of the buttercream and spread it on that first layer of cake. See how nice and thick that is. If you're not at this point here, if you've got a runny buttercream, it's better to start over than keep moving forward without it. Otherwise, your cake layers will just compress and you won't have that nice thick layer in between them. So we're going to spread that all the way out to the edges. Alright, so we've got our first layer here. I'm going to take our next one and press that right on. Let's make sure it's nice and equal on all the edges. It's going to be important here to line these up nicely because your glaze later needs to go right over this all the way down to the end. So you want to make sure you have nice straight edges all the way down. If you need to, you can cut off some of that edge later to make sure you have a nice straight edge. Now use almost all the remaining buttercream. Leave a little bit in the bowl because you're going to want to use a little bit to seal some of these edges here. So let's put almost all the rest right on this next layer here. A little bit for our edges. And again, we're going to put this all the way out to the edge, spreading it nice and evenly across the whole cake. Now, if you haven't noticed, this has taken quite a while to do all these, between baking it, creating the buttercream, and putting this cake together to this point so far. Now, I've done this all in an evening and spread it out over about 4 or 5 hours here, so I haven't been rushed through it at all. And the part is, we can spread this out over a couple days. And we're actually going to stop here after putting this together. We're going to wrap it together tightly in saran wrap, and then freeze it for at least 2 hours no matter what. Even if you're moving forward, you want to make sure it's nice and solid. But you can freeze it from 2 hours for up to a couple days. I'm going to start the next section tomorrow evening. So got a nice smooth layer here again. I'm going to take the top layer, and again, pressing it evenly on here. You can see how nice and tall this is going to be. And again, because I used all the exact same pan again, I've got perfectly straight edges here, which is going to be great for our glaze here in a little bit. So now I'm going to take the remaining frosting that I have in the bowl and start evening out these edges. Again, I want a straight side everywhere I go. So take this buttercream and go all the way around it. Perfectly straight side. And this is where I made the mistake last time. I didn't realize how important that was, and so my bottom layer was a little bit in, and so when I put my glaze over it, didn't spread evenly. So this time I'm going to be even more of a perfectionist and make sure that that goes straight down all the way here. edge here. Nice smooth finish all the way around the cake. So we're going to take this now, I'm going to wrap it in saran wrap, and again for at least 2 hours, up to a couple days. I'm going to come back tomorrow and finish the glaze as well as the ribbons, and we'll get this thing put together for you.